Yeah, what I sent you, I checked the link and it's letting me in. Hey, John, come here. I just re-logged in with the link that I sent John, and it's telling me 3 people are in the waiting room. Jody, Catherine, and Casey's iPad.
They need to log in this computer. Can you help with that?
Help us out.
Why don't I just do it from here? I don't need that.
Well, we need
We
it
need to
logged in
set it-
for the system.
We need to be the host. We haven't set it with here.
So
Come on, do you want to sit?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with how it's set up here.
well, it's Zoom. So that thing's on. So if you want to join a meeting, log it in and do it that way.
Here's the
Enter meeting.
ID.
Okay, hold on.
You need readers?
Schedule. Okay. Join. Start.
I know, there's 2.
Right, but neither one of those.
What?
Okay.
Hold on there.
I don't know why it's.
We're having a little difficulty on our end too. So the meeting ID.
Stop. Joined
830.
with computer, or you want already? It says already joined by phone.
And that should be fine.
Yeah, okay,
Pound.
that's what I
Enter.
think John was trying to figure out.
Come here, John.
Here's the login stuff. I'm not sure.
Are you
Just-
good?
Let's just,
Choose one. It says you're.
you do the first one,
Is
but
it-
I have to do it from a phone over here.
Okay.
Sorry. What's the number?
1669 900 6833.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
830 0.
So that, John, that number is 810. Okay. Hold on. a
You
minute.
entered 830. This meeting ID does not exist.
John, hold on
Please
for a minute.
re-enter your meeting ID followed by pound. Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound to continue. Please enter the meeting passcode followed by pound. You are in the meeting now. There are 7 participants in the meeting. This meeting is being recorded. You are muted. You can mute
add
or
those
unmute
people in.
yourself by pressing *6. You have been added to the
Are you
meeting.
okay doing this?
You cannot talk or listen until the host admits you to the meeting.
I can.
Do you want?
Do you want me to admit them through here?
That might, you might have to.
Well-
because there's someone to add in.
I don't know. It's like they're all waiting there, but why we don't have a consistent there?
I don't know. I can admit them here though, but it needs to come from there for your system.
Well, I don't know why you're in it and we can't get in it. Maybe that's why, because it's the BCAG.
You were in this first before I did. So it's not like I knocked you off or anything like that.
It's not recognizing us as the host, which is really strange. It's recognizing Yvonne.
So why don't you go ahead and get them going in like that? We'll just have to have you up front somehow.
You can mute or unmute yourself
wait, here we go.
Oh, it went in.
And it worked.
Hello? Hi.
Hi.
I'm Jody.
Hi, are we
I'm
the
here.
only ones on here?
All I can see is you. It's weird.
I couldn't get a hold of anyone. I couldn't get the phone to work.
Nope. First they told me they were in another meeting. It said your
Gotcha.
host is in another meeting. And so then I just texted Bill and Todd and I was like, can you guys help me? I can't get a hold of anybody on the phone. And then it just said, please wait, your host will let you in soon. So I've just been hanging out, waiting.
Yeah,
I got the same thing here, Tammy.
Yeah, I think these should be held at the chambers so that they can be recorded the same way and people don't have to go on YouTube live to watch meetings.
It seems like we would have enough locations that are big enough that we could all spread out and meet in
Yep.
a large area and still have a
Yep.
meeting. Maybe we
And
can
it
work on
could
that.
still be recorded. I mean, we have problems every time with BCAG and air quality.
All right. Well, I'm going to mute until we all get on.
I guess I will too.
I'll walk on over to the boardroom to make sure they realize. Because I'm not sure. It looks like Yvonne's doing it, but I'll make sure they know
Can
there's
you
a
do me a
problem.
big favor? Could
Are
you
you going
just
over
go
there?
plug this in at my computer so I don't lose power? The controls are messy.
Running the meeting.
Does somebody not realize they're still in the meeting?
I think he's trying to get the connectivity.
Oh, gotcha.
That looks like the inside of a car. Who is there inside their car? Hi.
Hi, this is Lance. I'm supposed to take this phone over. This is Yvonne's phone. I'm supposed to take it over to his computer. He thinks it's running the meeting.
Well, a bunch of us are on this meeting.
It is. It's
Hold on. He just told me to plug it in at his computer.
Yep. It shows you as the host from our end.
Okay, now I can hear you. No, they think, Yvonne thinks that the phone is running the meeting and he wants his.
It does show that line as the host of the meeting. Just so you know what it looks like from the participant end.
Doug Teeter just texted me saying we're in, but I don't see any of them.
Jody, if you go to participants and you go to the gallery view, we can see them. It looks like from the left side of the chamber.
I don't see how you get to gallery.
So on the left side of your screen, there's a couple different things and it should
Oh,
say like, switch to active speaker.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, John, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can. I was picking up another conversation there of some kind. Yeah, I hear you fine, John. You hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. John Clark, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, I
Okay.
can hear. I can hear
You were
John
on
Clark.
mute. Sorry.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
I hear.
All right.
No.
Okay, here we go. We're gonna, welcome to the BCAG Board of Directors meeting of January 28th, 2021. Thank God 2020 is over. And first up, we're gonna pledge allegiance to the flag of our nation. Ready? Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Please call the roll.
Board Member Conley.
Aye. Here.
Board Member Lucero. Board Member Lucero. Board Member Ritter.
Here.
Board Member Kimmelshield.
Here.
Board Member Teeter.
Here. I don't know if my mic's working. I know.
Board Member Bush.
Here.
Board Member Cauldron. Board Member Reynolds from Chico.
Here.
Board Member
Oh,
Reynolds
different
from
ones.
Oroville.
I'm sorry.
And Board Member Jones.
Here.
Is our mics working?
Yes.
Yes.
Doing it right.
Excuse me, this is Tammy, and I'm on the Zoom. We can't hear the people on the dais. We can hear the folks who are calling in and the folks who are mic'd, but
Thank you, Supervisor Ritter.
Yep.
I thought that's what, I think you're probably picking me up on a mic out on the podium there.
No.
yeah, I can hear you. But I couldn't hear Todd and I couldn't hear, I don't even know who that is.
Doug Teeter.
And I couldn't hear Teeter.
Adjusting your mic, sorry.
Butte County Association of Governments.
Oh, yeah, it's way loud now. How about you, Teeter? You good?
I believe I'm good.
Did you hear Teeter? Anybody hear Doug Teeter?
You can hear him, he's just faint.
Testing.
That's better.
Keep the mic to be sitting way over there.
Because they're,
It's moving on. We'll move.
All right. After a roll call, the first thing up is election of chair and vice chair for the 2021 calendar year. Are there any nominations for that?
Conley for chair and Councilwoman Johns for vice chair.
For a second for that?
Second.
Is there any other nominations? Is there any dispute with this, or should we just call for a roll? I have an acceptance speech. I'd like to give it to you. It's about 15 minutes long. I really do appreciate you allowing me to do this again. I put my heart and soul into Highway 70 and other projects. Thank you very much. Please call the roll.
Board Member Conley.
Aye.
Board Member Ritter.
Aye.
Board Member Kimmelshoe.
Aye.
Board Member. Board Member Teeter.
Aye.
Board Member Bush.
Yeah.
I heard a yes.
Board Member Reynolds from Chico.
Aye.
Board Member Reynolds from Oroville. Board Member Reynolds from Oroville. Board Member Jones.
Aye.
Are there any errors, changes, or omissions to the agenda today? Okay, so first up, again, thank you all. First up is a consent agenda, approval of minutes for the December 10th, 2020 BCAG Board of Directors meeting. Does anyone like to make any comments on the minutes or have anything to say about it before we look for a motion? Is there any public comment on this matter? Unlikely. No public comment, right? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, please. That's to you guys to say.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, now we're going. All right, please call the roll.
Board Member Conley.
Aye.
Board Member Ritter.
Aye.
Board Member Kimmelshoe.
Aye.
Board Member Teeter. Board Member Bush.
Aye.
Board Member Reynolds.
Aye.
Board Member Jones.
Aye.
That's it, right? Okay, so next up is our action items. Number 5 is approval of the 2020-2021 federal performance measures. Brian. Morning, Brian.
Good morning and welcome new board members. I am Brian Lasagna, Regional Analyst with BCAG. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Federal transportation legislation requires metropolitan planning organizations such as BCAG to implement performance-based approach to planning and programming. This mandate includes establishing targets, tracking performance, reporting outcomes under 7 focus areas. Those focus areas are safety, infrastructure condition, congestion, reliability, freight, environmental sustainability, and reduced project delivery. New for the 2021 performance planning period is transit. This is a new requirement from the federal government. As part of this new process, Butte Regional Transit, our transit operator in Butte County, is required to set performance targets for transit safety as well as transit asset management and provide those targets to BCAG for approval and incorporation into our regional transportation plan as well as our federal transportation improvement program by July 20th of this year. Included in table 1 and 2 are the proposed targets for current performance of asset management provided by Butte Regional Transit. Also included in table 3 are those targets related to transit safety. As a component of Butte Regional Transit includes this as a component of their public transportation agency safety plan. Each of these measures and targets have been reviewed with our Transportation Advisory Committee before moving forward to the BCAG board. With that, staff is recommending the BCAG board approve the transit-related targets for the 2020-2021 performance year.
Questions or comments by the board? Okay, so is there any public comment on this matter?
No.
Entertain a motion to approve federal performance measure.
Move to approve.
Who was that?
That was Supervisor Ritter, sorry. Forget you can't see us.
Second.
Okay, we have any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Board Member Jones,
Aye.
Board Member Reynolds and Chico,
Aye.
Board Member Bush,
Aye.
Board Member Teeter.
Aye.
Board Member Kimmelshow,
Aye.
Board Member Ritter,
Aye.
Board Member Lucero, Board Member Conley.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Next up, approval of 2020 and 2021 federal performance measures. Safety. You're up again, Brian. Lucky day.
Yes. Along the same lines on the federal performance measures. Safety, this applies to all modes, so just not transit. The process for this is a little bit different. In August of 2020, Caltrans, so these are brought down from the state level, provides metropolitan planning organizations such as BCAG with statewide performance targets. Table 1 includes those 2021 statewide targets, which are based on a trend line approach. So this is a little bit different than in previous years, which they took a more vision type approach. Caltrans has reevaluated that and now basing it on a trend line approach. Under federal legislation, BCAG is either allowed to prepare their own targets or B, agree to plan and program projects so that they contribute to the statewide target. To this point, BCAG has always accepted the statewide targets. This is similar to all MPOs in the state. So at this time, staff is recommending that BCAG do the same. Included as attachment is our current trends in terms of safety. So these are brought before the board each year, as well as our Transportation Advisory Committee. Also included is a link to our recent 2020 Regional Transportation Plan and the specific safety projects included in that plan. So at this time, staff is recommending that the BCAG board accept the statewide targets.
Any questions or comments by board members? Any public comment on this matter?
No.
I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve. Councilmember Reynolds.
I'll second. This is Jody Jones.
I got that. You know what's confusing, Ms. Reynolds, is that somebody else's name's right below you, and it's like, it's just kind of confusing. But
Board Member Conley,
Aye.
Board Member Ritter,
Aye.
Board Member Kimmelshow,
Aye.
Board Member Teeter,
Aye.
Board Member Bush,
Aye.
Board Member Reynolds from Chico,
Aye.
Board Member Jones,
Aye.
Very good. Thank you. Next up is a draft 2021 Federal Transportation Improvement Program. Mr. Garcia, tell me how to pronounce your first name, because I've known you for like 15 years. Right?
Yvonne.
Yvonne. You get E there. Always throws me. By the way, never play this guy cool. You can jump, do masse shots. Kick my ass.
Yeah, I don't,
This
I can neither confirm nor deny.
21 Federal Transportation Improvement Program.
Yes, good morning, Board. BCAG, as the federally designated metropolitan planning organization, is required to prepare and update a federal transportation improvement programming document. The purpose of the FTIP document is to identify all transportation projects in Butte County that have federal transportation funds or require some type of approval from the Federal Highway Administration or the Federal Transit Administration. The FTIP also could identify projects that have been determined to be regionally significant. It's one of the regular programming requirements that BCAG is required to do. The current draft 2021 FTIP document has been prepared and it will be posted later this afternoon. It identifies 33 projects with approximately $370 million worth of transportation investments over the next 4 federal fiscal years, beginning October 1st, 2020. The FTIP was developed in consultation with BCAG's advisory committee, the Transportation Advisory Committee. We have a scheduled public workshop in February. I think it's identified in the board memo, February 16th. The FTIP document has been circulated to the state and federal agencies as well. Of significance is the programming of 2 new projects that were presented to the BCAG board in December for the programming of congestion mitigation and air quality funds. The first project is a request from the city of Chico to program the Hagen Lane Business Park Access Improvement Project. That project proposes to construct 4 roundabouts near the BCAG offices at Park Avenue and Midway, at East Park Avenue and Fair Street, at Hagen Lane and Midway, and on Hagen Lane and Otterson Drive. The city has requested $6.2 million in CMAQ funds, as well as 100% of the Highway Improvement Program funds that were presented in December. The second project is a request from Butte County Public Works to program the preliminary engineering component only for their Autry Lane Southside Safe Routes to School project. The county is requesting just the design component in order to give them a couple years and later apply for active transportation program funds through the state. It's a good strategy. It's worked quite well for the region. The last 4 cycles of the active transportation program, the region has secured over 40 million. So it's a great program and a great strategy. Staff is recommending the approval as part of the adoption of the 2021 FTIP next month at the next board meeting. Happy to take questions.
Any questions or comments on this item from the board? It's for information. I'd like to tell you about the issue at Autry Lane. It's within 500 feet of my house, so I would never vote to approve it, but my house is up pending sale. So it's an example of state not requiring when you build out a school to put curb, gutter, and sidewalk by it. It's very, very dangerous, very narrow road with a ditch on one side. Children go to 2 different elementary schools on that road, and it's adjacent to the high school. So it's something that somewhere along the line, you'd think the state would require public schools to do what private industry or businesses or even a development would be required to do where children are walking to school, is build curb, gutter, and sidewalks. So I thank you for that inclusion on it. I hope it's successful. Are there any other questions or comments by the board?
Yeah, yes, Yvonne, the project in Chico, here just down the street, will those roundabouts do away with the signals?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the city is, in order for the emissions benefits, that's a requirement of the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Program. A requirement, first and foremost, is does it reduce emissions for which the region is not in payment for? And it does. And the city really needs to do them all at the same time in order for the emissions benefits and the traffic flow to improve.
And do you have any idea when construction might be?
Ooh. I can tell
Chair
you at
Conley?
board meeting, I have it with me in about 4 years.
Oh, 4 years, okay.
Okay.
Chair Conley?
Yes.
This is
Please.
Supervisor Ritter. I just, referring to the same project that Supervisor Kimmelshoe was mentioning in the city of Chico. I know there's been a lot of resistance to roundabouts. I'm not exactly sure why. It seems pretty easy to me. But I really appreciate how this project is meeting our air quality goals. And that as we're looking for our future planning, finding ways to eliminate, stoplights, finding ways to eliminate stop signs, and, that people always seem to think that that's going to make an area safer, but in fact does the very opposite. So I'm really happy to see this project coming on.
I'd like to add, it's not only roundabouts, but it's comprehensive curb gutters, sidewalks, and bike lanes also. It's really a complete street effort by the city of Chico. And to my knowledge, the nice thing about roundabouts is I don't think there's been a fatality at any roundabout.
I don't know.
Anywhere.
In Oroville,
Yeah.
don't put a horny wrought iron around it because it gets hit about once a month. But other than that, not fatal. It's expensive. Any other questions or comments by the board?
Chair Conley, this is Vice Mayor Reynolds from Chico. I'd just like to second what Tammy was saying, not only the air quality, but with many large businesses looking at relocating out to that Hagen Lane area, I think it's extremely important that we move forward on that and get that moving. If anybody's ever tried to drive Hagen Lane at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you know why that's needed, and or midway for that matter. So I appreciate the board approving this, and when so time, I'd gladly move to approve.
And before we call the vote, Chair Conley.
Just for information only today.
Oh, okay. Supervisor Lucero has been trying to get in as well, and she's experiencing the same challenge that the rest of us had. I know that she had an appointment until 9:30, but she's just texted me and said she can't get in, and could staff please look at the Zoom link and see what's going on.
Okay. Staff will, one of
Thank
you will
you.
take that on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll do that.
For information only. Is there any public comment? No. All right, then let's move on to the next item, which is Chico to Sacramento Strategic Plan Update. Sarah.
Good morning, board. This item is an update on the Chico to Sacramento Intercity Transit Strategic Plan. Last year, we were awarded a Caltrans Strategic Partnership Fund to study the commuter bus service between Chico and Sacramento. The study will also provide the framework to integrate Beeline and the San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority Route 3, which runs between Stockton, Sacramento, Chico, and Redding, to a consolidated service. It also includes an analysis of potential park and ride locations and extensive public outreach. You may recall that we looked into a commuter service in 2014, but due to demographic changes from the campfire and commuter behavior with COVID-19, the study will reassess the demand for this service. The project began earlier this month and will continue through March 2022. BCAG has selected ARUP, the consultant team, to lead the project. I'll take any questions. Thank you.
Any questions or comments by the board? Hearing none, any public comment on this matter? See, it's just a worthy project. Everybody knows it's good, right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 9, BCAG application for Sustainable Transportation Planning Grant Program Study Extension of Passenger Rail, Butte County. Yes.
Morning. Greetings. Yeah, so this is an information item, and we just wanted to let the board know about a grant application that we're preparing to extend passenger rail service from Sacramento into the Butte County area. And specifically, we're working on a grant application under Caltrans Sustainable Transportation Planning Grant Program that would fund a study that would identify the specific improvements needed to extend passenger rail service up into Butte County. Essentially, the study would be looking at the 2 Union Pacific rail lines, the existing rail lines that one comes up through Chico, one comes up through Oroville, and would look at determining all the necessary improvements that would be needed to bring passenger rail northward. And in terms of background, this is sort of born out of communication and collaboration with San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority, as we've been coordinating with them on the bus study that Sarah just covered. And essentially, San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority, they also have a partner agency, San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission. And those two entities, basically, they implement a couple of rail services down in the San Joaquin Valley, the Altamont Corridor Express, and also the San Joaquins, which is an Amtrak service. And those passenger rail services are mainly in the San Joaquin Valley, but they also go into the Bay Area as well. And so we've provided a figure which shows a planned extension that San Joaquin JPA is working on. They received a $500 million grant to essentially extend their passenger rail service up to Natomas. They expect to get that in place in the next 3 to 5 years, which brings passenger rail a lot closer to Butte County. And in our discussions with the San Joaquin folks, they're very excited about extending basically their service up into Butte County. They've established a tremendous working relationship with Union Pacific Railroad, primarily through their Altamont Corridor Express service that they do. They've gotten very comfortable with each other through the implementation of that service. And we've had a call with Union Pacific and the San Joaquin folks, I think last Friday, after the agendas had gone out. And Union Pacific expressed their commitment to working with us on the project. If we were awarded the grant funds, we would be providing some funding to Union Pacific to do some modeling with their staff and with their sort of trained computer modeling to analyze things like their freight scheduling and how passenger rail might be able to fit on each of those different lines. And so we'd be analyzing, both routes, the Oroville and the Chico, and kind of determining which would be preferable based on those sort of criteria. And so we provided some additional information about what the San Joaquin folks call their Valley Rail Project, which is essentially the extension of their existing services up to Natomas. So there's a couple extra pieces of information in the memo. So the applications are due February 12th, and we're hoping we'll hear back sometime, hopefully towards summer, but it might be a little bit later. I know Caltrans is a little backed up on getting these things completed, in part due to COVID and people working remotely and things like that. So we'll definitely let the board know what we hear, and happy to answer any questions.
But I talked to Mr. Wong that bought the depot. He's still willing to work with us. Excited about the prospect of coming to terminate their Oroville. I think the whole county would benefit wherever it comes to, as we could shuttle people to Chocolate Fest or Brew Fest or whatever. I think it would really enhance our tourism, expose a lot of people, and go good on a train and go home after they spend their money. I like the idea myself. Any other questions or comments by any board member?
This is Supervisor Ritter. I have a question for Chris.
That's Ritter.
I think that's who was giving the presentation, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm just curious how competitive this is. Do we know what other communities we're going up against for this rail extension? Like, do we know what other kinds of projects are being proposed for this same grant monies?
We don't know specifically what's being proposed. We do know that under the grants is under the Sustainable Transportation Planning Grant Program that Caltrans has, and the specific category is Strategic Partnerships Transit. And based on our communications with Caltrans staff, it's among the least competitive categories typically each year among the various categories under that grant program. So they feel like we have a strong chance of getting funded. This category is definitely the best fit, tends to have the least number of applications each year. So
John, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, this is John Clark. I was just going to add, I have been working with the JPA for the last several years. I'm on their rail advisory committee. And originally, when they applied for a grant a few years ago to fund about over $500 million of improvements to bring in the Altamont Corridor system into the San Joaquin Valley, to connect everything to the high-speed rail point in Merced, they did want to include our portion of the project getting up to Oroville, but due to the magnitude of the grant request, they just couldn't squeeze us in. So this isn't new. The concept of kind of extending the North Valley Rail The fact too, which is different from prior discussions, is Union Pacific's involvement. And we met with them Friday, as Chris said, and they were very supportive. They were even willing to provide a support letter, which is huge. And so I don't want to get over optimistic, but right now, having Union Pacific kind of give you that indication, they are extremely pleased with the work that Dan Levitt, who's the person we work with at the San Joaquin JPA, very extreme with the work of what they're doing, that I feel very optimistic that this is going to get bumped up from kind of where it's a long-term project to a short-term project. So I
And,
think
and
we'll have a
John,
good
do they consider that the Chico Airport is no longer operational for commercial flights? Like, are those things that will be considered when they're looking at these kinds of, strategic partnerships?
Yes, and we've had that. We've indicated that to them. They're aware of that. They're also, where the university is a factor up here in Butte County. It really will come down to the modeling work that Union Pacific will do to look at the amount of freight activity on the two lines, working in, passenger rail service. So, we hope to see that work if we get the grant funded start in 2022, and that'll give an indication of where it's going to go.
Okay. Thank you.
Just to follow up, John, so about the university, do you get extra? Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, but Kimmelsu's been trying to talk for a little bit, and I'll get right back to you. Right.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman. So this is something that would go possibly to the airport in Sacramento. So Natomas is close, but not to the airport still.
So what it would do is, let's say it gets extended to Butte County, that service would make a stop at Natomas where they're putting in a new station. In Natomas, they're going to have a shuttle bus system that goes over to the airport. So people would be able to utilize the train service to get to Natomas, take the shuttle over to the airport.
And I did speak with Assemblyman Gallagher's office, and I think you're going to be in contact with them.
We've asked for a letter of support, yes.
Yeah,
right. What?
I could be any help in that regard.
Okay. Okay, very good.
Deborah Lucero.
Well, I was just going to ask if we get, brownie points on this grant if you have partners like the university, for instance. I'm just wondering if that, you mentioned the university, and I was wondering if that is taken into consideration, the collaborative approach.
That won't, not to be blunt, but that won't matter. What'll matter is Union Pacific's willingness to partner. CalSTA, which is over Caltrans, California State Transportation Agency, ultimately kind of makes the nod on which grants get funded. The fact that you have BCAG, the San Joaquin JPA, the rail operators, and UP as a team, that's what's going to, I think, finish at the top of the pile. And we'll be talking with CalSTA officials next week to review our proposed project and scope, let them have questions. And I know that our person at UP was even going to reach out to them and talk to them. And as our person at the JPA said, if you get a letter from UP, it's like getting 100 letters. So it's big and important. So we hope that's going to come through. So it looks very good, and it's been moving very quickly. So.
All right. Thank you.
Questions or comments by board members? Any public comment on this matter? Thank you. And I hope it happens. Okay. Would any board member like to make just a general comment of any kind? I'd like to welcome the new members. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you in person. Go ahead.
I don't know if Supervisor Kimmelshoe would like to bring up comments unrelated to the agenda, or if he would like me to.
So go ahead. Good point. Go ahead.
I don't want to miss our opportunity while we're all meeting. This is Supervisor Ritter and Chico. We would like to agendize a discussion of how the county and BCAG specifically can support the operations in Chico as they are moving forward to look at alternatives for housing individuals, whether that be a campground or whether that be a tiny village or what have you. BCAG has a long history of supporting these types of social services, not just with the information provided from the SS TAC, but also in supporting operations at the tourist shelter and the Jesus Center. And so we would like to agendize a discussion to see where funds might be available and what kind of support BCAG might be able to find that are already not allocated for something else, to make sure that we are being good partners as we try to address the homeless crisis.
This is John Clark again, and I'm just wanting to clarify when you say operations, I assume you're speaking of our transit services to facilitate. Yeah, and we've certainly, in any discussions we've been touched on from the city or whomever regarding, if we were to look at putting a facility for homeless folks here, could you serve that with transit? Of course, we're going to look at that, and we're going to identify the cost to do so. So I'll agenda this item for the next meeting for discussion, and we can hear what you all have to say, and we can talk about any work we've been doing today.
Okay, and then John, just in the short term, if we can look at where there might be ability to issue vouchers or bus passes as we are moving into a more solid or more permanent solution, in the interim, that we still have some unmet transit needs. And so if we could be looking at vouchers as well, not just in terms of adding a route or adding a line.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other?
Oh, this is Deborah Lucero. I was just wondering about some of the comments that we've been receiving concerning bus service and where the COVID vaccinations are being offered. Some of the seniors, I've gotten probably 10 different emails from different seniors or social media contact, people getting in touch with me through social media, that there is no bus service currently out to Merriam Park. And that's one of the primary vaccination sites. And I was just wondering if you're working with public health on those kinds of issues.
We have not been made aware of that need. We don't have fixed route bus service currently going through that area, but you can always utilize our paratransit service for either ADA individuals or paratransit eligible individuals. We can certainly provide it. Jim, do you want to elaborate on anything I just said?
Yeah, well, I would say there is bus service to Merriam Park. Route 7 goes out there. So there is currently service out there.
This was a gentleman up in Magalia who said he was having issues with not being able to make that connection. And then in terms, I'm just wondering if you're working at all with public health, or if public health has reached out to you to help with messaging around how to get seniors to their COVID shots, or how BCAG can assist with that.
Yeah, no, public health hasn't reached out, but as I said, though, there is service there, and if someone's coming down from Paradise or Magalia, they can connect with the 7. There's several places that will connect. So I just wanted to say there is service to Merriam Park.
So is there a way that we can maybe message to seniors or to the, get more information out there about how BCAG could work with public health? Maybe I need to be talking to public health and have them reach out. I'm just trying to figure out if we can get a connection going.
Yeah, I would think that the best thing would be for public health to contact us, because they're already reaching out for the shots. And so we can work with them and they can get the message out on how to get to these centers.
Okay.
And if any board members get any emails like that, just forward them our way, and then we can reach out to these individuals that have contacted you to help them figure out, which service, whether it be fixed route or paratransit, they can use to get to these vaccination centers.
Yeah, it's really a hot topic on social media right now, because people are trying to figure out how 75-plus-year-old people get to, homebound people get to these places.
Right.
And then the other issue is they have to stay for 15 minutes, while they get the shot. Then, how do they leave there? How, all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
Any other board comments? All right.
Yeah, Bill, can I say something for a bit?
Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Bush, it's good to be back. It really is. I know a lot of you don't know me. Many of you do know me. I would just ask the folks that don't know me not to talk to the other bunch. They tend to stretch things a little bit. Anyway, thanks very much for your patience this morning. And the informational meeting was wonderful, and thanks. Just take care.
Thank you. We're going to move to item 10. This is items from the floor, be public comment. Do you have any public comment?
No.
Right. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you back in a month. We're going to adjourn now. We'll be back February 25th, 2021, right here. Hopefully, we all get a flu shot by then, huh? Let's hope. All right. Meeting adjourned. Thank you for the support.
Jody Jones, I wanted to see that cat.
She was being a pill, but she left. So I don't know. Have a good day.
Right
See
into
you in a
you.
moment.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.